It's Tuesday morning. Marcus is making coffee in a clean apartment. Quartz countertops, nice shoes by the door, a job that pays $115,000 a year, a respectable LinkedIn profile, a $748 car payment sitting in the parking lot downstairs. And on paper, Marcus looks stable, but the math is cruel. Marcus has one paycheck, one employer, one banking system, one currency, one debit card standing between normal life and a real problem. Now compare that to the boring 27-year-old with a paid-off Honda Civic, a slow cooker going on Sunday, and $100,000 in net worth. That person looks poorer. Until the world gets weird. And lately, the world has been getting weird on schedule. The doomsday clock is now set to 85 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been, with the bulletin of the atomic scientists citing nuclear risk, biological threats, and unstable emerging technologies. You do not need to become a bunker guy to understand the point. The point is simple. Stability is rented, and the bill can come due fast. Most people think risk means volatility, a red day in the market, a bad earnings report, a recession headline. That's kindergarten risk. Real risk is concentration risk. One job, one city, one landlord, one checking account, one fragile monthly budget pretending to be a life. Marcus earns 6 figures, but if his employer cuts headcount, if payroll stalls, if the bank app stops working, if the local currency gets hit, Marcus is not rich. Marcus is exposed. And that's the uncomfortable truth for a lot of students and young professionals. You are not protected because your salary is decent. You are protected when your life can absorb impact. That's what I mean by financial immunity. Here's what people miss. In a crisis, your spreadsheet lies to you. You say, I have money in the bank. Okay, what if the bank closes? What if withdrawals are capped? What if transfers freeze? What if your currency drops 50%, 70%, 90%? This is not theory. In Lebanon, Reuters reported that banks closed to clients after depositors sought access to funds that had effectively been frozen in the banking system. During the country's financial meltdown, the currency lost more than 90% of its value, and many depositors were locked out of savings. In Cyprus, Reuters reported that depositors in failed banks lost billions during the 2013 crisis. Some deposits were confiscated in a bail-in, and balances above insured thresholds were seized or converted into bank equity. That's the lesson. Your account balance is not the same thing as access, and access is not the same thing as control. So why $100,000? Because it's the first number that can do 4 jobs at once. First, it can buy you 12 months of austerity living. Call it $36,000. Nothing glamorous. Rent, groceries, insurance, utilities, a very boring year where survival matters more than aesthetics. Second, it can fund strategic relocation. If your region becomes unstable, leaving is expensive. Flights, deposits, residency paperwork, temporary housing, transport, cash buffer. That's another $22,000 to $38,000 depending on where you go and how fast you need to move. Third, it can create an inflation hedge outside the domestic banking system. That might mean physical gold. That might mean cash in US dollars held outside the fragile part of your local system. The exact mix is personal. The principle is universal. If every asset you own is digital, domestic, and permissioned, you do not own resilience. You own a login. Fourth, it leaves rebuilding capital. Maybe $25,000 to $40,000 left after the chaos, enough to buy distressed assets when other people are liquidating in panic. That is why I call it the minimum viable net worth. Not rich, not retired, not glamorous, functional. If you're a student or early in your career, this is the part that hurts. At $5,000 invested, returns feel insulting. You do everything right, and the account moves like cold syrup. That's why so many people quit. But around $100,000, something changes. According to an Investopedia breakdown of Charlie Munger's famous observation, saving $650 a month at 7% annual return takes about 9.5 years to reach $100,000. After that, compounding starts doing visibly more of the work. That's the psychological shift. Below 100K, you are dragging the sled. At 100K, the money finally grabs a corner. Not enough to carry you, but enough to matter. And context matters. The Federal Reserve's latest survey of consumer finances shows the median U.S. family net worth at $192,700. But for Americans under 35, the median net worth is only $39,040. So if you hit 100,000 young, you are not just doing okay. You are building separation. You are building margin. You are building time. And time is the asset that fixes almost everything. So how do you get there? Not with a hack, not with a hot stock tip, not with a fake luxury life financed at 8.9%. You get there with unsexy habits. You kill credit card debt first, because carrying 20+% interest is not a minor inconvenience. It is a guaranteed negative compounding machine. You drive the slightly embarrassing paid-off car, the one that doesn't impress anybody, the one with the worn steering wheel and the Bluetooth that only works when it feels respected. You invest the raise before your lifestyle finds out about it. That one matters, because every raise has two potential owners, your future net worth or your current ego. And you keep your fixed costs low enough that losing a job feels like a disruption, not an extinction event. That is stealth wealth. Quiet, boring, almost invisible from the outside, and incredibly powerful. And let's be honest about what $100,000 is not. It is not retirement. Under the classic 4% rule, a $100,000 portfolio supports only about $4,000 a year in withdrawals. So no, six figures is not I quit forever money. It's something more important. It's choice under pressure money. And that's the kind that matters first. So here's the real message. $100,000 is not about being rich. It's about not being helpless. It's the difference between getting laid off and having breathing room, between a banking scare and total panic, between inflation hurting and inflation destroying, between a crisis making you smaller or making you mobile. Marcus has the appearance of stability, but the student with the paid-off Civic, the quiet habits, the quiet brokerage account, and the first six figures, that person has something Marcus may not have at all: options. And in a world where systems can wobble fast, options are wealth. Not status, not flexing, not numbers on a screen. The ability to choose what happens next.
Want to take control of your finances and build real options? Like, share, and subscribe to Quintillion Blueprint. Simple, unsexy strategies that actually work.